The 2015-2016 season is right around the corner for the women's ACHA hockey teams, but before the season gets started, we are bringing you the first ever preseason show where we will highlight all the exciting things to come. Welcome to the AI Center.
Sneaking in off the board. He's got some room. The Flames coming close. Another big hit in the corner. Pass in front, scores!
From the LFSN studios on Liberty University's campus, we are excited to bring you the first annual Women's Hockey Preseason Show. I'm your host, Monica McKenzie, and joining me today are everybody's favorite analysts, Brandon Coburn and Patrick Strawn. Thanks for being here, guys.
No problem.
Now, starting it off, right off the bat, Liberty had an amazing season last year, winning Nationals. Brandon, tell me a bit about what your thoughts are on their season as well as their run at Nationals.
Obviously, the best season that the Flames have had just because of winning Nationals, but their strength came on this team. Yeah, they were a very good offensive team, but mostly because of their defense. This was such a strong defensive team. They had 6 games consecutively that they didn't allow a goal, and that carried into Nationals, and once you get hot there, it's only a matter of time until you take home the big trophy.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference for them also was their goaltending. You had a sheer netminder in Chantal Lazinski, who the team is going to have to find a way to replace, but she did a phenomenal job of guiding the Flames this season to win their first ever title.
Now, as you mentioned, they're losing a lot of good players this season. Do you think that they have the potential to make another run at Nationals this season?
I don't see why not, because if you look a few years ago when they actually finished third, they only had 14 girls on that roster. 2 years before that, they only had 12, and they finished fifth. So why can't this team go deep? They're not going to score as many goals, but they're definitely going to be a strong defensive team.
I don't think it's really a matter of if they can or not right now. They lost a lot. They lost a ton of depth. This team right now, even though, yeah, they're defending national champs, they went very far at Nationals, and they brought home that trophy. But right now, after losing that many players, there's a lot of question marks surrounding this team.
Now, which player do you think is the biggest loss for the team?
Probably you got to go with Sarah Stevenson. She was second All-American team. She got picked up by a pro team, actually. She was, I believe, the league leader in assists with 33 this year. She creates a ton of offense. She's hard on the puck. She skates. She was the full package, and for the Flames, that's a huge loss in the first-line center.
I agree. She was a very valuable player, and you were right. She did lead the team in assists. But I would disagree with that she was the most valuable. I would definitely say it was Chantal Lazinski. That's the reason why she was the tournament. Well, she won tournament MVP, didn't she?
But still, at the same point,
she still won tournament MVP, so it makes sense that she meant.
You could have put in any one of their goaltenders, and they could have probably taken home national championship.
Why did they choose Chantal? We could have put any other.
She was the number one string, but they had 3-4 good solid goalies last year.
I agree, but you still can't discredit the ability she played. And plus, she got picked up in the National Women's Hockey League as well.
Yeah. All right, Brandon, you spent 5 years as a captain on the D3 team here, so you know what it's like to be on the Liberty squad. Does this championship for the Liberty University hockey program as a whole, does this motivate other teams to kind of get a championship under their belts now?
Absolutely, especially for the guys. You know that they're thinking, we don't want the girls to bring home the first national championship, but hey, good on them. They brought it home. And we couldn't be happier just because we can finally put up the banner in the rink. We got national champs here at Liberty. That's only going to spur the rest of the guys on. D1, they're always in the hunt all season long. D2's been knocking on the door as well for a couple of seasons now. And D3, it's only a matter of time until they finally get the wheels going and make their first national trip.
Pat, what are your thoughts on some teams that might need to be on Liberty's radar this year as they kind of lost a lot of players and they're heading into this next season with a few question marks around the team?
Well, I think the biggest team always is Miami, Ohio. Everyone knows that they need to always look out for them. They've been one of the top scoring offenses in the league the last few seasons, so they definitely have to look out for them. Also, you got to think of Penn State. That's a team that just snuck into the national tournament, so you really want to look for them when they play them as well. And also a team that won their conference and snuck in the last minute was Minnesota, who is actually the team that upset the Flames 2 years ago to win the national title.
Brandon, who do you think some teams are that Liberty needs to look out for?
Obviously, Miami, Ohio. This team has been so dominant the last 2 years. It's an extremely tough team to try and get a W against them, whether that's at Nationals or on their home ice or even on the road. This team is just extremely dominant. watch out for Penn State as well. This team is moving up the rankings. I was extremely impressed with the way that they came into LaHaye. They took the Flames to overtime. They took them, I think they took them to overtime at Nationals as well. And then the other game was a one-goal game as well. Penn State's one of the teams to watch for, in my opinion.
All right, well, now looking at the rest of the Liberty team, let's hear from two people who helped guide the Lady Flames to victory. Our Dave Semenia is with them now in the studio.
Thanks, Monica. I'm here with Coach Bloomfield and Catherine Burrell from the women's hockey team, the national champions. Just want to say a quick congratulations to you guys.
Thank you.
So start with you, Coach Bloomfield. After winning the national championship last year, just give us your original thoughts of when the buzzer went out and you were able to host a championship trophy.
Well, it was kind of surreal. I was so busy on the bench trying to keep focused on what was going on, I didn't really hardly realize the game was over. And then I saw everybody throwing gloves and sticks, and I thought we had it under control then.
Awesome. Now, after winning it all last year, you know your expectations. You know you can win a championship. How do you keep everyone focused and ready for this upcoming season?
Well, I think there's a couple things. Number one, you got to work for every time you win. So you got to keep the girls focused on every shift, every play, every game. So it's not going to be automatically handed back to us. There's got to be a lot of work between now and the end of the season again. So got to keep focused on that. The second thing is we've lost some girls that graduated. So obviously there's others that have to step up. We have freshmen that have to get it into the harness. So it's just a lot of hard work between now and then.
Catherine, as a leader of the team, give us how are you guys going to recover from losing some seniors, and what are you going to do to be in that leadership role?
Ultimately, I think it's the underclassmen that are just coming up, and they need to step up their game, and they really need to focus and understand how valuable it is for us as seniors, that how important winning a national championship is and what it takes and the hard work and the dedication. And so hopefully we can see some younger players doing that this year.
Now, you mentioned all that hard work and that kind of that know-how-to-win attitude. A couple years ago, you guys were actually in the national championship game, and you guys lost. Kind of give us what that meant to you guys this year when you came into the national championship game.
The loss, first of all, was devastating. I've never felt anything like it, and I think it just set a fire under us, and it really motivated us to work harder and know what we need to do and stay focused and just have each other's backs all the time. And yeah, so.
Awesome. And not 2 years ago, but last year, you guys lost to the team that you actually ended up beating in the finals. What's the difference between losing to them and then getting to play them in the national championship game the next year? Kind of give us your emotions and kind of your thoughts going into that final game.
The final game, it was intimidating, of course, because we had lost them during the season, but ultimately we knew that God was in control, and there was a surreal peace in the building that morning. There was a surreal peace at breakfast. Everyone just knew, like, it was overwhelmingly calm, and we just knew what we had to do and bring to the table.
Awesome. Now, Coach Bloomfield, you guys are the #1 team. You get the national championships, This year, everyone's going to have you guys marked on their schedule. How are you guys going to prepare for that?
I think we probably need to not think about who we're playing as much as what we need to do. Things will be different this year just because we have different people. So I think it's just a matter of getting team chemistry going, making sure that the freshmen understand that just because they came in, it's not a free ride. And if we're going to do it again or get to nationals again, everybody has to play a part. Everybody has to do what they need to do. Our job, obviously, is to try and get combinations that work and give them the opportunity to practice.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for your time, and good luck to this upcoming season. Back to you, Monica.
Thank you.
Well, it's undeniable Liberty had a great finish to the year last year. Now, you guys mentioned that Miami, Ohio, Penn State, Minnesota, these are all teams that Liberty needs to be looking out for. Do you think there's any teams that made it to nationals last year that might have a challenging time getting there this season?
I think if you look at one of the teams that might have a challenging time, unfortunately, is Minnesota. I say they got to look out for them because they won their conference. But you actually look at it, they almost didn't make it in. If they don't win that conference championship, then they're not going to nationals. And Rhode Island, instead, the team that was ranked high enough, takes their place.
I think it's time to stir the pot a little bit here.
Let me hear it.
Liberty Flames. This team, yeah, they're coming off winning the national championship, but they lost, what, 8, 9 players here? In my opinion, to start the year, they're not in the national tournament unless they start proving to us that the guys, or the girls that they brought in, rather, they can get them back there. The girls that they have returning are going to get them back there. There's so many unanswered questions in net. They lost forwards. They lost scoring. There's some questions on D. Can this team get back to nationals? It's going to be a matter of time. I believe they can, but it's also some question marks if this team could drop out of the top 8.
I understand what you're saying. The biggest question is in net, but you look at this team, they're actually a team that's built similar to that year they went 3rd place. They just snuck into the tournament. They're 1 goal away of winning that national tournament themselves with a smaller bench than they have right now. Yes, it will be a different dynamic than the team they have, but it's still a team that's capable of making it back to the national tournament, especially if they finish up that goaltending position.
Yeah, I mean, they are similar in many ways, but like you said, 1 goal away from not even making the top 8, that could happen again this year.
Now, with the creation of the NWHL and the CWHL this season, that's giving the girls a lot of potential to move forward and continue to play after college. How do you think the creation of these leagues affects the ACHA as a whole?
I think for a whole, it's a great thing because it's drawing a lot more talented female players into the league and allows them to be able to play in the league instead of trying to go overseas or just go NCAA, because the ACHA is getting a lot more exposure, and that's what the league wants as a whole, and try to get definitely more high-marketing recruits, such as Haley Williams, who's one of the girls that got taken, as well as Sarah Stevenson, and then Chantel Lozinski from Liberty. She got a tryout, and then I believe it was I'm losing my notes here, and another girl as well.
You got 2 girls heading up to Buffalo. 2 Buttes heading up to the Buffalo Buttes.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
Harrington, and it's the girl off of Miami of Ohio who you
Haley
just
Williams,
mentioned.
yeah.
Haley Williams. They're going up there, the National Women's Hockey League in the first year. How exciting is that these 2 girls are going to be representing Buffalo?
Now, taking it back to Miami, Ohio, they lost last year, kind of a surprise. Liberty taking the national championship. What are you looking for from them this season?
I expect they're going to definitely have to figure a new way out of trying to transition to what they've been doing this past year. You lost Haley Williams. You even lost a couple other dynamic players. You look for Rachel Booth now, who's been on Team USA twice. You got to expect her to really command things for this team on a scoring end, as well as Katie Augustine. You got to look for her. They're going to chip in. And then also in their goaltender, in Emily Wills. This girl, she was on the All-American team, and then if it wasn't for that first bad goal, she would have been playing in that game. She was undefeated until that game right there. And she's going to be looking for redemption for sure.
Yeah, obviously this team is built to win another national championship, but it's all about winning the games at the right time. You can win every single game up until that last one, and if they don't come through in that last final game, it could be 2nd place again for them, but definitely a team to watch out for to potentially get that national championship.
Now, Pat, Adrian and Rhode Island, how are these kind of dark horse teams, and what does the rest of the league need to look out for when they're playing them?
I think for Rhode Island, definitely, because Rhode Island actually was in the tournament, but since they didn't win their conference, unfortunately, that knocked them out. So people need to definitely be looking for Rhode Island to look for some redemption, because they're definitely going to be on the driver's seat saying, we want back in the tournament. Adrian, that's a big, fast, and physical team, and you saw they made it to the semifinals. They're definitely going to be looking to try to knock off Liberty, because that's the team that took them out of the tournament themselves.
Yeah, obviously that's a team that's been hunting the Liberty Flames for quite some time. But also, you got to put in there UMass. This team was 2nd in points last year. They always seem to get so close to the national championship game. I think 2 years ago they fell, which was to Miami of Ohio, but it's got to be a consistency where they find their legs at the right time in the big tournament. If they can win the games there, they're doing everything right during the regular season, but if they can just finally figure it out at nationals, there's not that much keeping them from winning that trophy either.
Do you think that this is maybe their year for them to win that trophy?
Only time's going to tell, obviously. There's a couple teams in the hunt. The Flames, a lot of question marks. Miami of Ohio. Penn State's up there, in my opinion. There's a logjam up top, and it's going to be a matter of time. Obviously, in the preseason show here, it's It's a long way in the
Hold on,
future
I gotta
talking
know.
about
Penn
that.
State
but-
barely made it into the tournament. So how are they up in the hunt right now?
I'll tell you, it's
didn't
Darby
even-
Kern. This girl played NCAA. She was like the whole team. She had, out of their goals, she had 55% of the points.
Okay.
She was unbelievable, and I don't think that there's any
One
team
player
that
doesn't
can.
win you a championship, though, and that's why they didn't make it out of the round robin play.
But
So
they're
you
only
gotta
going to
look
get
at
better
it.
here. They're only going to get
You don't
better.
know that, though.
Last year, she was probably the only reason that this team even made it to nationals. If she can stay hot like that, and they can add to that this year, I think it could be a very dangerous team. Just because they got good goaltending too. It's the
Penn
truth.
State, what are your thoughts on maybe them getting the championship?
I think, like I said, it's only a matter of time until this team really finds their legs. They came in here to LaHaye. They really impressed me because they're just such a hard, relentless working team. They had the Flames up on their heels, took a couple of penalties. I think the only thing that's keeping this team from winning nationals is probably they're missing a little bit of secondary scoring, and defensively, they're just not there yet. But if they can maybe get another girl to score a goal once in a while and add to the defensive unit that they got, this could be a really dangerous team.
So pretty much you're saying Darby Kearns needs a whole new team behind her in order for them to make it through.
I'm just saying, if she can get a little bit more support, she can almost carry the team herself.
Well, I can say this. The best defensive team in the league the last few years have won the national championship. And I'm going to say this right now. I don't think Penn State is in the mix to be one of the best defensive teams in this national championship.
I don't think that you were broadcasting one of the Penn State games last year and you didn't get to see them in depth.
But last time I checked,
How did
I
they
did show up, didn't I?
They played the national championship winning team, the Liberty Flames, lost twice in overtime.
Yeah, but Liberty
and
was
lost the
in a
third time
downward
by one
spiral
goal.
at that point. They
How
had
are they-
already on a 3-game
At
losing
nationals,
streak.
they lost by 1 goal to Liberty, and it was in overtime.
Because Liberty wasn't
that
used to
close
it. It was
from
the
being the
first
national
game that Liberty had
championship
just got
winning
into
team.
the tournament.
All right, well, as you can see, there is a lot up in the air. It's just a preseason show, so there's tons to debate. Right now, we have Dave Semenia on Skype with the brand new commissioner for the women's ACHA.
Here with the new commissioner of the Women's ACHA Division I League, Molly Mahoney. Thanks for taking some time out of your day and joining us.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
So just give us a little bit about yourself and what your plans are as commissioner as your first year.
All right. So I started the women's hockey team at Grand Valley in 2007 and then played there for the last 2 years of college. And then became involved with the Central Collegiate Women's Hockey Association as the assistant commissioner, and then became the commissioner of the league, which I am still also doing. And then I applied for this position as the commissioner, and here I am. So as far as goals for the league, one of the things I think we really lacked was communication. And that's something that I want to strive to be better at. We need to make sure that we're answering emails promptly, making sure we're getting eligibility questions answered, registration questions answered, and kind of making that registration process easier as well. I know we've had lots of comments about the difficulties that teams are having with the new system, so trying to figure out how to make that better.
Now, as your first year, you kind of mentioned some points of making the league better. As far as a hockey standpoint goes, what are you going to kind of try to do to make the league better for all the teams that are involved?
Yeah, I think one of the things we're doing really well is being able to offer Division I and Division II within the women's division, which I think makes our division stronger and more competitive. Being the first year that we had a women's team at Grand Valley, we probably should have been D1 or D2 that first year, but we jumped right in, and we only won 1 game the entire season, so it was rough, but we survived, and they've actually done really, really well at the Division I level now that things have, we had great coaches that did recruit and kind of got some students involved and that kind of thing. So I think allowing teams to go Division II and grow their programs and then become Division I creates a good competitiveness among the different divisions.
Now, the ACHA has also added an executive director who's going to oversee all 5 leagues. Kind of give us what you think a positive impact that's going to have, not only on your league, but some of the other ACHA leagues.
Yeah, our new executive director is great. He has lots of really good ideas on how to build the league, and one of his biggest things is that he believes the women's division is where the most growth is going to come from. So he's working on communicating with programs that might have intramural women's teams and trying to get them involved in becoming club teams, which then can join our league. And also he's looking at kind of the benefits that we have when we pay the ACHA dues and things like that, and making sure that those benefits to our members continue to grow and are beneficial to the teams currently in the league.
Now, let's look 5 years into the future. Where do you see the Women's Division I league going?
Yeah.
And just kind of give us, I guess, if in a perfect world, how would you see that in 5 years?
Yeah, I would say in 5 years, we're going to continue to see growth. We actually just had our numbers, and 2 years ago, we were at 36 teams. Last year, we were at 46. And this year, if all goes well, we should be at 52, which is really, really good. So I think we'll continue to see growth in those numbers and teams. And I think we'll also see growth in different locations that we haven't seen before. I know Arizona is looking at having women's teams as well. So you might have teams in areas that you wouldn't normally expect. And I think that will definitely help our growth as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for taking time out of your day. We look forward to having you as a new commissioner of the league and wish you all the best this year.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to Dave for that interview. As the anticipation builds to the start of the regular season, we have a look at the preseason All-American list released to us by the ACHA. Here we're going to highlight some players to look out for this season. On the first team preseason, we have Carrie Jickling from Liberty, Darby Kern, Rachel Booth, Sydney Collins. Second team, we've got Katie Augustine from Miami, Kristen Levesque from Rhode Island, Becca Senden, Miami. Now, guys, pick a player each and tell me why you think that they stand out to you.
I gotta say, obviously, Carrie Jickling. She might have the best release in the entire league. She had the most points, I believe, in the league, or most goals. She's pretty much the everything for the Liberty Flames. She's wearing the C for a reason. Like I said, her shot is incredible. She goes bar down more often than not. And when she's in the slot, it's in the back of the cage.
I'm surprised I'll be honest, I'm surprised you said Carrie Jickling the way you were talking about Liberty earlier. So, actually, my player is going to be actually on the other side, their rival, in Rachel Booth. I think she's going to have to lead this team this year. Now that Haley Williams is gone, she's going to be asked a lot of a bigger role. She's been a two-time All-American for this team, so she definitely knows how to get things done. Also, I love it. She played for Team USA, so she's definitely got it going on right there. So, obviously, she knows what she's doing.
Brandon, Darby Kearns of Penn State, why does she stand out to you as the first team All-American?
Like I said, she is everything for Penn State. Out of all the goals that they got, she had a point on 55% of them. That means on half of the offense, at least, not that she was just on the ice, but that she was getting a goal or an assist, which is pretty incredible. They lose her, this team's not a national team at all.
Pat, looking at the second team list, are there any that stick out to you that maybe could possibly move up to the first team?
I think one person definitely on the second team that could jump up is Katie Augustine. I think this is a girl that actually, she's been on the second team last year. Year before that, she was on the first team. So she's probably thinking, like, I don't know what I did different to where I had to get knocked to the second team, and I'm on the second team to start the year. She's definitely going to be a driving force for this Miami, Ohio offense as well. You put her and Booth together, that's a dynamic duo, 1-2 punch for the Redhawks.
What about Sydney Collins? How does she stand out to you?
I think she stands out because she's one of the few girls on this list, didn't even make either of the teams last year, and the league voted her in the first team, and she's also Rhode Island's one of their top returning scorers, and she's on the back end, so she's not only a shutdown defenseman, but she also knows how to put points in the back of the net. She scored 18 for them, so that speaks a lot of volume for her.
Brandon, looking at these lists, are there any players in the league that you think should have made it and they're not on there now?
I'll tell you one thing, there's probably about 15 girls on each team because every girl who's playing on a team, that's their end goal, is to probably get on top of this list. You can't put out a specific one or two girls because there's so many that are well-deserving to be in either team 1 or 2, and that's everyone's goal at the end of the day is to probably get on one of those lists.
Would you say Catherine Burrell's one of them, since we had her here today?
Yeah, you definitely have to. I mean, I don't want her giving me any bad looks from over in the corner of the studio there, but Catherine Burrell, maybe even Clarissa Tipping, as she's probably one of Liberty's up-and-coming forwards.
Now, looking at these lists, do you think that this is kind of an indication of players that we can see moving up to those pro leagues that we talked about earlier?
I think absolutely. I think one person in particular, I think we touched on it. Rachel Booth, Darby Kern, those are two girls that we definitely could see moving up to not only those leagues, but also doing very well in them. Like, the league signed 3 girls just to the NWHL, and a lot of girls went already to the Canada Women's Hockey League, even the draft, such as Sarah Stevenson. So you definitely could probably see a lot of these girls transition over into one of those professional leagues.
How do these professional leagues help improve the overall quality of play now in the ACHA?
Obviously, for recruitment purposes, there's so much more of a value coming and playing in a D1 ACHA school rather than playing in a D3 NCAA school that you're not going to be getting as much ice time, whereas you can come to ACHA here, really hone your skills and be an elite player, and that just makes you look that much more valuable for one of those professional teams.
All right, well, these are definitely exciting times ahead for all these individuals on these lists. Let's take a look at the preseason rankings for the teams now. In number 1, we have Miami. Number 2, Liberty. That's a bit of a surprise there. Number 3, Adrian, Grand Valley, Rhode Island. Number 6, University of Massachusetts. 7, Penn State. Number 8, Michigan. Number 9, Michigan State. And closing out the top 10 with Minnesota. Now, looking at that list, Miami, Ohio is number 1. Normally, it's the national champions that would be number 1. So what do you think, what's going on there? Why isn't Liberty in that top spot, Pat?
I think the league got it wrong. I mean, I don't know. You just said it right there. They're the defending national champs. So how are they not number 1? I know they lost a lot of depth, but so did a lot of the other teams. I don't think you can fault them just for losing a little bit of depth. You've got to respect the fact that they're the defending champs until they're proven otherwise later in the season. So they definitely should, I think, be number 1. Redhawks, unfortunately, you should be number 2. No, they got a lot of firepower coming back. Heck, and definitely going to be very talented. I've been talking about them the entire show, but definitely got to give respect where it's due.
I agree, for once with Pat here.
For once?
If I'm the Liberty Flames, this is a slap in the face. You won the national championship. You're coming to the next year as the number 2. I don't think I've ever seen that in any ranking, but hey, maybe the league knows something that we don't, and that's that the Liberty Flames may not have recruited as well as they could have. Time is going to tell for that, though, but I think definitely that's kind of a bit of a shocker.
All right, looking now at the teams ranked 11 to 15, we have Colorado State, Robert Morris, number 12, Davenport, 13, Lindenwood in 14, and Vermont in 15. Now, looking at these lists, it's kind of a clear indication that the top 4 spots are normally dominated by the certain same teams year after year. What is it about the ACHA that has such a big drop-off after those top few spots?
It's definitely got to be recruitment. These top schools that are always good, always in the top 2 or 3 or even 4, is they just do such a good job of recruiting. And some of the smaller time schools, you can tell that they get some good classes in, but after that class is gone, they kind of get watered down a bit.
Yeah, I think it's also about the brand, too, not just about the recruitment that each of these teams have. Everyone knows that now Miami of Ohio, they're forced to be dominated when it comes to this Division I women's ACHA. Liberty, they've definitely proven they're stable, top 3 the last few years. You also look at some of the other regular powerhouses, such as Miami. You look at even UMass, they're constantly always somehow up in the top 4. And then right now, you see, it's good to see Adrian and Grand Valley, a couple of Michigan schools getting in there because there's good hockey being played in Michigan. So a lot of girls, it looks like, are staying home, which is good to see.
Brandon, you said recruitment is a huge deal. Do you think that it's possible for one recruit to come in and kind of change the face of a team and really get their fire going?
Absolutely. You couldn't have said it any better. All it takes in this league is to get one standout player, and they're going to get you to nationals. Once you're there, anything can happen. I think that this league has shown that a couple times, and I've mentioned it with some of the girls that have come into teams and just they've dominated. They've gotten their teams to certain places at nationals. If you get one solid girl who's probably a decent NCAA caliber type player to come play in your ACHA program, boy, it can make a huge impact and you can go far.
Well, first off, I don't think there's any I in team because that's why it's a team first off. But second, would you say you were that guy for D3 when you played for them?
Absolutely not.
That's a good thing because I don't think Coach McGibbon would have liked that at all.
I don't think so.
But yeah, I think part of it also, you got to look at the recruiting class. Like, part of the reason why Liberty did well, those 9 girls all played with each other for 4 years. So you got to see that there's a group of chemistry and community that definitely gets bond when you bring in a group of freshman girls. And if you can get them all to stay in the same school and not transfer out, you're definitely going to get something special, especially up into their upperclassmen years.
Now, taking a look back at that list, UMass is in 6th place. Do you think that they'll be able to maybe make a push and move up from there?
I think so. This is the time that they're probably feeling like it's our time finally. We finished runner-up to Miami, Ohio. We didn't even make it out of pool play last year. So they're definitely going to be looking. They're always a big team. They're usually fast, got skill that we've seen throughout the years because Liberty usually always plays them, not only here but up there. But they're definitely a team I think that's ready to make that push.
Brandon, Minnesota, they're in the 10th spot. They were champions a few years ago. Do you think that they have what it takes to maybe get in that top 8 spot this year?
Well, obviously, this team knows what it takes to win a national championship. At the same point, it's going to be really tough for them. We don't know what they've added to their club, so you might want to check in with me toward the end of the year or maybe halfway through to see what they're actually playing like. But the way that I saw from this team last year, it's probably going to be another push for them unless they brought in a really solid recruiting class. I don't know. There's a lot of questions around Minnesota as well. But like I said, they know how to get things done up there. They won a championship 3 years ago.
All right, now looking at these teams, do any of these teams stand out to you besides the top few that we've obviously talked about? Which teams do you think can kind of make a push and just improve their rankings now?
Obviously, you got to go back to Rhode Island. This team was solid all of last year, but most definitely UMass. This team was second in the nation for points. Like Pat said, horrible nationals. Very disappointing for them, but you know that they're going to want to make a comeback, get themselves back up into the top 3 at least, and then at nationals, that's what it all comes down to. I don't care if you finish 8th in the regular season, but if you're going to bring it at nationals, one solid weekend, you can probably get yourself a national championship title.
Yeah, someone called them, I guess, a little bit of the Pittsburgh Penguins of Division I hockey. But I'm going to change the script. I'm actually going to go to Chi-Town and say Robert Morris, Illinois. This is a team, I think, that's finally trying to get back in there. They've missed the tournament the last 2 years. Before that, 3 consecutive third-place finishes. They're 06 and 07 champions. This is a team, I think, that's ready to start making that push.
All right, looking at the top 8, if the national tournament started today, do you think those top 8 deserve to be there?
I would say yes because, well, it's pretty much the same top 8 that was there last year. The only team that's not in there is Minnesota. And I think they got in only because of their conference tournament. So I think actually this top 8, if this is how it was going to be, record-wise and also you look at points-wise, yes, they deserve to be there.
Having said that, though, that's never how things go. And I guarantee you come back at the end of the year, this is probably not going to be your top 8. There's going to be some movement. There's going to be some angry teams that see themselves not in the top 8, and they're going to want to battle to get themselves in there.
All right, well, heading now to our final thoughts on a little bit of a lighter note, Brandon, we can see clearly that you're the stylish one of the group.
Whoa,
so
wait a minute.
Is it the mustard?
No.
Tell me, which team do you think has the cutest jerseys?
Well, that is a tough question. I'm just going to have to
need
go
right
with the
up there
Liberty
with you?
Flames because those jerseys are looking hot.
Pat, if you were in net and had to take a shot from any girl in the league, which girl would you be most frightened of?
Oof. I would say Clarissa Tipping because I saw the clapper she did against the second-team All-American goaltender, and yeah, it froze her.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us for the first ever women's preseason show. We're certainly looking forward to a great season of hockey this year. Thanks to our director, Russ Hall, producer, Rhett McGibbon, and the rest of the crew for their help today. For Brandon Coburn and Patrick Strawn, I'm Monica McKenzie. Have a good rest of your week, and God bless.